Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our series where we're going over the Orthodox prophecies of World War III and looking over the current news and seeing how this relates into the future events which are predicted by our church. I was scrolling Instagram and I came across this, which did raise some alarm bells that I did want to go over. So, we're going to read through these articles that I found on the matter and connect them to a specific prophecy from Saint Methodius, which I believe is relevant to this issue. So let's start reading. So, SAFE, again, security action for Europe. It was adopted by the Council of the European Union on the 27th of May 2025 and is the EU's new financial instrument designed to provide financial support to member states to speed up defense readiness by allowing urgent and major investments in support of the European defense industry, with a focus on closing critical capability gaps. Strengthening Europe's defense technological and industrial base. SAFE will provide up to 150 billion euros in competitively priced long maturity loans to member states requesting financial assistance for investments in defense capabilities. These loans will finance urgent, large-scale procurement efforts. Wow, large-scale procurement efforts. Ensuring that Europe's defense industry can deliver the necessary equipment when it is needed most. To maximize impact and reduce fragmentation, projects will be based on common procurement, involving at least one member state benefiting from SAFE and another member states, as well as Ukraine and EEA, EFTA countries. However, in light of current geopolitical realities, SAFE will also temporarily support procurements by individual member states to ensure timely delivery of critical assets. EU borrowing for the financing of the new program will enable competitively priced and attractively structured long-duration loans to requesting member states. The terms of these loans benefit from the EU's strong credit rating. A united European defense response. SAFE supports the goals set out by the European Council in March 2025 to increase defense readiness. It is the first pillar of the European Commission Rearm Europe Plan Readiness 2030, which aims to unlock over 800 billion euros in defense spending across the EU. The initiative complements existing EU efforts by boosting national defense budgets through greater flexibility under the Stability and Growth Pact, facilitating defense-related investment through EU cohesion and regional funds, leveraging support from the European Investment Bank, mobilizing private capital to support strategic defense initiatives. What will SAFE fund? SAFE supports the procurement of priority defense products grouped into two categories: ammunition and missiles, artillery systems, including deep precision strike capabilities, ground combat capabilities and their support systems, including soldier equipment and infantry weapons, small drones, NATO Class 1 and related anti-drone systems, critical infrastructure protection, cyber, military mobility, including counter-mobility. This is very interesting because the prophecies associated with Elder Panagiotis Siolis, the elder of Agrippa, he talks about how NATO will use the infrastructure in Greece, the roads, to actually go towards Constantinople, which I find this part of military mobility. And I'm pretty sure a lot of funding is going towards Greece right now to improve their road system and their defense system, especially with Israel, giving them weapons. Category 2, air and missile defense systems. Maritime, surface, and underwater capabilities. Again, this could be related to the maritime zones between Turkey and Greece. drones other than small drones, and related anti-drone systems. Strategic enablers such as, but not limited to, strategic airlift, air-to-air refueling, C4I star systems, as well as space assets and services. That's interesting. Space assets protection, artificial intelligence and electronic warfare. Yeah, this is cooked. This is the world we're going into, where we use artificial intelligence to kill each other. Great. Across both categories, procurement contracts must ensure that no more than 35% of component costs originate from outside the EU, EEA, EFTA, or Ukraine. Category 2, projects must meet stricter eligibility conditions, including the possession by contractors of the capacity to modify the equipment in case of need without non-EU restrictions. Okay, bit of waffle there. You say tentative allocation per member state. So this is what interested me, is which nations are involved and how many. So again, this is all the funding between the nations. But if you count them, we have in total 19. Now, in the post I saw, it said Greece and 18 other countries are involved in this. Now, the 18 is what caught my attention, because if we read the prophecies of St. Methodius, it says that there will be a great war in Constantinople between 18 nations. Now, I know what you're thinking, Nick. That is not 18 nations, and this is 19. And I agree, this is 19. But if we do some math, it actually does kind of add up to 18. Because we know Greece and Cyprus will not be in this war. They'll be in defense. So that automatically takes it down to 17. Then we have to know who is the enemy in which these countries are fighting. That is Russia. This whole SAFE program, as we're going to see, was created as an anti-Russian association, right? This is all, again, this was made this year. And as we're going to read later on, it was made due to the war between Russia and Ukraine. So if you add Russia minus Greece and Cyprus, you get 18, which I found very interesting. Continuing. Supporting Ukraine and trusted partners. SAFE marks a new chapter in EU cooperation with trusted third countries. From the outset, Ukraine and EEA, EFTA countries will participate on equal terms with EU member states. This includes eligibility for joint procurements and procurement from their defense industries. While only member states can obtain SAFE loans, the following countries may participate in common procurement: EU, asserting candidate and potential candidate countries. Countries that have signed the security and defense partnerships with the EU, such as Albania, Canada, Japan. I'm pretty sure Japan is actually included in the prophecies as well. So we'll probably make a video in the future about Japan. Moldova, North Macedonia, Norway, South Korea, and the United Kingdom. Additional bilateral or multilateral agreements may be concluded to broaden participation and eligibility. Based on submitted the National Defense Investment Plans, 15 member states will do projects with Ukraine. SAFE entered into force on the 29th of May 2025. Isn't that the day that Constantinople was invaded? Interesting. That is very interesting. How these dates line up so exact. Anyways, got a little bit sidetracked there. Yeah, but that is interesting that it entered into force on into force on the 29th of May, which is a very significant date for us in terms of these prophecies. Could be symbolic or something, I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Following its publication in the official journal of the European Union, member states can submit national plans to access funding and begin implementing procurement projects aligned with EU priorities. Again, these EU priorities are all anti-Russian. It's actually insane. On the 30th of November 2025, 19 member states submitted their national defense investment plans. We've got a bit of a timeline here. So 29th of July 2025 was the deadline for member states to express interest and quantify indicative amount of loans to be requested. 30th of November, which again, that's passed already. Submission of the national defense investment plans from 19 member states. And in the future, Q1, we're going to see the adoption of council implementing decisions, and then continuing on negotiation of loan agreements and operational agreements, triggering pre-financing. So I'm pretty sure this whole association is built upon giving loans to countries in times of war or to improve their war systems. Which, again, why would they improve their war systems? What threat is Europe having? And you can clearly see that the EU, that Europe is begging to go to war with Russia. I mean, even Vladimir Putin recently said that if Europe wants war, then we are ready for it. Again, it's scary how close these prophecies are right now. Before I go into the legal documents, I do want to restate the prophecy which Methodius did state. So we'll go to that now. So on my Instagram page, I actually have a list of the prophecies, some of them, not all of them, about World War III. And this is the prophecy of St. Methodius I did want to read. The blonde nation, which is oftenly associated with Russia, will have control over the seven-hilled city, Constantinople, for the course of 5 or 6 months. And many people will eat to render justice to the saints. The nations that are situated in the southern corner will be roused into action, and the great Philip, with an army composed of people speaking 18 different languages, will get together in the seven-hilled city, Constantinople, and will begin a war such as one has never happened before. And they will be very swift in invading both the thoroughfares and the narrow streets of the seven-hilled city. And the killing of the people will flow like a river, and the sea will turn turbid and darkened by the blood till the bottom of the abyss. Again, the correlation between that and this, how if you really do the math, it does add up to 18 countries, is a little bit alarming. And I'm not saying that this is 100% what Methodius was talking about, but I do believe there is some foreshadowing here in this movement. Again, this is bound to change, as it said in the description, that they are accepting different candidates, and I'm assuming if certain candidates want to leave, like Greece and Cyprus, which would happen if these prophecies are true, we could see a change in that number. One thing we don't know for sure is who this great Philip is. And I think closer to the date, we will know who the great Philip is. I tried looking online for someone called Philip, who is high up in these associations, but I couldn't find someone. It could be symbolic of someone else, but we'll have to see closer to the date. I'll keep you guys updated. I wanted to go through these legal documents because I think the problem is no one actually goes through this. They read this like what they want you to see, but they don't actually want you to read this stuff. Communication to the college, European Commission, context and objectives of SAFE. See, this is what you have to read. On 19th of March, the Commission adopted the White Paper on the future of the of European Defence Readiness 2030. That's a very strange date that they choose as well, because again, if you're paying attention to anything the globalists are trying to put through, is that they want like basically a globalist Earth by the year 2030. So again, a lot of these things are going to start ramping up really quickly. As its introduction indicates, the political equilibrium that emerged from the end of the Second World War and then the conclusion of the Cold War has been severely disrupted. Again, Cold War, America and Russia, and now they're saying it's been disrupted. The advent of the geopolitical situation in which the Union has to step up its efforts to ensure its defense calls for extraordinary measures to increase national defense expenditures and improve their quality, privileging cooperative solutions, providing increased visibility to defense industries. This is notably due to the continuation of Russia's unjustified war of aggression in Ukraine, as well as Russia's shift to a wartime economy. I mean, they're just begging for war with Russia at this point. They are telling you in their papers they want war with Russia, which is exactly what the Saints said. Unbelievable. Continuing. Increased investment in defense products will allow defense industries to invest in increased production capacity, increasing the resilience of the Union against external threats and providing a deterrence effect. Skip over this. As a consequence to this new geopolitical reality, there is a growing need to accelerate, in a spirit of solidarity, the provision of Union support to those member states that are likely to be threatened by serious difficulties due to the massive public investments needed, which may have an impact on their economic situation. As part of the Rearm Europe Defence Readiness 2030 plan, again 2030, what is going on? The European Commission proposed the establishment of the Security Action for Europe, SAFE, which we were just reading about before, an instrument aimed to providing financial assistance to member states to respond to the exceptional situation described above, not caused by the member states and beyond their control. SAFE will allow member states to immediately and massively scale up their defense investments through common procurement from the European defense industry, focusing on priority capabilities. And I think this is where it goes into the details, providing financial assistance to interested states. 18 member states. Again, these numbers are just crazy that we keep seeing these numbers and dates lining up. Article 7. Okay, looks for the purpose. Agree on a tentative amounts. Agree that Commissioner Kubilius. Who is this guy? Let's do a little bit of Andreas Commissioner. What is that? What is this demon? That is not a person. What is that? Imagine if this guy's real name is like Philip. No, okay. I don't think his name's Philip, but still. That is not the face of a person I would want leading me. Let's continue. Agree that Commissioner Kubilius is mandated to notify each member state having expressed interest with the tentative allocation. Agree that the table presented in Section 5 of this communication will be published by the Commission. Okay, that's fine. Ensuring that SAFE, stronger defense industrial base in Europe to market efficiency. SAFE will allow member states to immediately and massively scale up their defense. We've read about this. A lot of it is a lot of jargon about funding. Support to Ukraine. Procure with Ukraine. Increasing aggregation of demand. Resisting a war of aggression driven by the single greatest threat to our common security, Russia. Oh my days, what? You're saying Russia is the single greatest? Have you looked at the people invading Europe right now? Really? Russia's the greatest threat? That is insane. Resisting a war of aggression driven by the single greatest threat to our common security, Russia. They are spelling it out for you. They want war with Russia. The Commission welcomes amounts. Okay. Again, they're taking all your taxpayer money for those who live in Europe and they're just giving it. Like, what is this? They're going to put you all in debt to all these dumb defense systems that they want to put in place? Really? Look at this. All your countries are going to be in debt. This is so dumb. And what? Now you're ready against Russia? You really think Russia's the threat? Conclusion, next steps. Upon endorsement of this communication by the college, the Commission will officially notify via individual letters to member states, signed by Commissioner Demon, that's what I'm going to call you, the tentative allocation of financial assistance. Pre-financing, again, this is all about just keeping you guys in debt, and Russia's the bad guy. Rearm Europe, this is like a probably more consumable document, but again, they make it look how nice this page is. Oh, it's so nice. We're all ready. Yeah, you're gonna kill everyone. This is so bad. Releasing public funding. Okay, cool. Guiding principles: buy more, buy better, buy together, buy European. Well, you're letting non-Europeans into the country, so you're obviously into the continent, so you don't really care. Loans support European defense. You know Russia's a part of Europe, you idiots. Increase contributions from the European Investment Bank to support defense, to keep you enslaved. Okay. Improve access to financing. These guys are demons. Oh my day. White paper. Great. Oh my days. What is this? Europe faces an acute and growing threat. The only way we can ensure peace is to have the readiness to deter those who would do us harm. We have many strong foundations, such as our potential to unleash vast resources and latent technological and industrial power. But we are also starting from a position in which our defense readiness has been weakened by decades of underinvestment. Rapidly deteriorating strategic content. European readiness. It is important for Europe to build up sufficient deterrence capacity to prevent a potential war of aggression. What war of aggression? What are you guys talking about? Full readiness in 2030. I don't wanna read all this. It's probably a lot of defense budgets and specifics. I'll read the conclusion. Yeah, more money to Ukraine. Great, guys. Really spending your money well. If you want me to make a video specifically like reading this entire document, I will, but I just don't want to keep going, repeating the same things. Okay, defense spendings. NATO remains the cornerstone of collective defense of its members in Europe. Yep. United States wants Europe to defend itself. Turkey is a candidate country for accession to the EU and long-standing partner in the field of common security. The EU will continue to engage constructively to develop mutually beneficial partnership. Okay. Didn't really say anything though. Leave my country out of it. All my days. It's insane. Okay, the way forward. I reckon this will be a good summary. The geopolitical context and Europe's threat landscape are changing dramatically and at unprecedented speed. Member states are invited to request the activation of the National Escape Clause by the end of April. Again, this is already passed. Again, more money to Ukraine. I'm pretty sure Greece actually agreed to supply Ukraine with gas from the Aegean. That's correct. I'll quite look that up. Yeah, look, Greece signs deal to supply gas to Ukraine. They're all demons. How can you look at these people and like just be proud? They're all demons. The commissioner calls on the board of governors bank to urgently step up support. Commission will present by June 25. Done. The commission and the HR will adopt by end of 2025. So that's almost here. Military mobility accompany the necessary legislative proposals. Must be able to protect citizens. Ukraine deserves continued military support to defend itself against continued military aggression and to ensure that it can defend itself in the future. Europe must make bold choices and build a defense union that ensures peace on our continent through unity and strength. It owes it to its NATO allies, to Ukraine, and primarily to itself, European citizens, and to the value it stands for. The EU and its member states must rise to this historic challenge. Minimum, this looks like more stuff to do with money. I think this is the same thing. That's the white paper home. Context. Let's see if it mentions Russia. No, they don't mention the people who it's against because they don't want you knowing. They mention it probably once in the entire thing. Russia will remain a fundamental threat to Europe's security for the foreseeable future, including its more aggressive nuclear posture and the positioning of nuclear weapons in Belarus. If Russia is allowed to achieve its goal in Ukraine, its territorial ambition will extend beyond. Yeah, I disagree. Russia has made it clear that according to their understanding, they remain at war with the West. I think you guys are remaining at war with them. And I'm in the West. I wonder why they invaded Ukraine. Because you guys are all demons. It'd be funny if there's someone called Philip in here. No. Maybe. Let's read the conclusion. I think this is repeating a lot of the same stuff, so I won't go through that. Special group representatives. Point 1. The special group shall act at the request of... What is this? So many organizations they can hide by. Oh. It's the demon! He's back! What is this? Was Minecraft Steve? Do you really want these people? Who is this? Maybe I'm being a bit mean, but I mean, you can just tell. I'm being honest. You can tell how they look. Transparency. What is your role? Directorate General of Defense Industry and Space. Space program ensures innovative and competitive defense industry. They just hide. What really annoys me is they hide behind all these documents that no one is going to go through. And it takes someone like, like us to do this and expose them for what their goals actually are. I think I'm going to leave it there. I think you guys get the idea of what they actually want. But this whole thing is, look, if I can summarize everything I've said, it's right here. Single greatest threat to our common security, Russia. Single greatest threat. Not one of the threats, the single greatest. I think that's just amazing. Again, if I go back to my Instagram, this is what they want. They want to go to war with Russia. They got provoking Russia, right? Here. Constantinople taken by the Russians. Russia will have control, and there'll be a 18 nation battle led by the Great Philip. We're seeing the prophecies happen in real time. And I know you guys might be concerned, but again, if we're on top of this stuff, there's no reason to be concerned. I'm going to be honest. There's no reason. It's just upsetting to see this happen to Europe. I mean, I'm Australian, but I've got Greek ancestry. I'm a proud Greek, and to see this happen to not only my country, but to all of Europe is very sad. Very, very sad. I did want to highlight, if you guys do want to support me, I will be releasing these videos first to my Patreon, then we'll be releasing them later to YouTube. Again, if you join my Patreon, you will have a lot of options. So for example, you'll get access to our Telegram chat. roles on our Minecraft server and our Discord. You'll have access to all these prophecies. You'll have daily updates from me, daily videos going over the news. I'm only going to make these videos ever so often, so if you want daily updates, please consider subscribing. We have different ranks for everyone, but again, I have a timeline coming up, which I'm going to release to everyone, so they'll have access to that of what the future events are. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you all later.